Well, MedtechVISION 23 feels like a bit of a sequel for us, but each one is different. And I don't like comparing, so let's just talk about this one. From your expectations to what actually happened, give me an idea of what's going through your head. You first.
So every year I feel like I say the same thing, blown away, but literally, like, this topic was big. Health equity is something that we were a little trepidatious to tackle because there's just so much nuance to it. But each and every panel, not only built off the prior, but like the insights, the perspectives, the diversity of voices, like, I walked away beyond motivated and really excited to tackle this topic, you know, continuously at work and just in personal life as well.
Well, you said it best. You got to be a little afraid and try something. And because there's a lot to unpack here that could scare off a lot of people. I mean, there was some incredibly emotional conversation here that you could tell some people were uncomfortable, but I think it needed to be said. Yeah. What about you?
Same. And I know we're not supposed to compare to last year, but it doesn't feel like a year has passed since I was standing here having this conversation with you last year. And everything that has transpired during that year, as we thought about the meeting, as we think about the topic, you know, we really push it around. As I think was said earlier, we started on kind of AI and data. It didn't feel rich enough, deep enough, and as we pulled that thread and got to health equity, it felt like something that we needed to address, that there was a lot to talk about, that we needed to dig into. We needed to find the right people with the right experience, the right perspectives. And we always go into this not knowing how is it going to come together. It's a big, audacious goal. And again, I leave feeling inspired and grateful, and with a list of things that I need to go read and do and think about and share and make sure that other people are aware of.
I'll tell you, the big difference from my perspective between this and other conferences I go to is there's a level of engagement here that everywhere else it's just booths and products and somebody trying to hawk whatever new catheter they've got, and quite honestly, most people can't wait to get out of there. No one's leaving. No one wants to go, and the wine may have something to do with it. But the truth of it is, they had a great time. And choosing a topic like this allows people to engage. Something like AI, as interesting as it is, there's no emotional attachment to it. It in essence, is technical.
Yeah.
So I think the choice was perfect and well put together. Is there anything that you would have done differently now that you're looking back on it?
So I would say one of the things that we've really strived for is making sure that we're mixing up the audience so that we're not creating this like echo boom where we're just talking to ourselves. And it was awesome to see the number of hands that were raised as far as like first time participation. It was awesome to see the number of male sponsors and supporters in the room, yourself included, although you've been here for many years, but we had a lot of new attendees that were men that were excited to get involved in the conversation. So I say, kind of looking back or maybe looking forward, like just making sure that we continue to be representative and have that so that the conversations continue to evolve. We also are like recruiting new blood. There's so many people here that have come up to us after and said, I really want to get involved. How can I help? What can I do? And I think we succeeded in that way, and going forward, something else that we'll want to continue to do so that we bring in new topics, bring in new ideas, new energy around this topic, but around MedTech Women, MedTech Color, you know, our other partners too.
Yeah. You? Anything you would have done different?
Well, I think we always struggle with how do we keep this event intimate enough to have the ability to have these conversations, to have the networking that people come here. That's a big part of why people are here. But how do we increase access? And so I'm really interested, and thank you for your partnership on the virtual event. I'm really interested to hear the feedback on how was that engagement. We had over 1,200 people online. How did that work? What can we do to continue to be able to share the information that we talked about today, the things that we did today, so that more people can learn, be just taunted with the conversations and the thoughts and the how do we continue to work at solving this big issue that we have around health equity.
I've been talking to some of the people here, and they're asking me like what I thought, and I thought what was amazing is that you all don't blink. Incredibly difficult conversations, really sensitive, obviously personal, and clearly emotional, I mean, people were moved to tears on more than a dozen occasions here today, and yet there was a joke a minute later, and you all moved on. Like, it's just an incredibly indicative showing of how tough, and I try to use that word correctly, that you all are. I mean, it's truly inspiring from a guy's perspective to realize that you guys kick ass on a level that most guys would be cringing in a corner, and yet there you all standing there together.
So I have a thought on this.
Okay.
Because I think in many male mentors that I've had over the years, who have been amazing in my development in my career, and I don't know if it's a gender thing, but they compartmentalize intentionally. I keep work here, I keep business here, and someone gave me the advice that I should compartmentalize and not let all this crisscross together. And for myself, and I think I can speak for a lot of the women here, I don't want to compartmentalize because it's all working together that makes it work for me. Like, I don't know. And so I think having these conversations, we have the hard conversations, and I try to do that every day, right? I try to have the hard conversations at work and at home, and my kids know that I'm here, and they're super excited that I'm here. And I can't wait to go back to a soccer game, but also talk to them about what we did here, right? So I don't compartmentalize, and I think for me, it allows me to have that flow of a hard conversation, a sad conversation, a really exciting conversation, because connecting those dots, and I go for a run and like my brain starts to process it all and connect the dots of, okay, so how does that all work together to like take the step forward to continue to hopefully make the change that we want to see. And I don't know, I think that's what allows me to bounce around between the emotions and the conversations and the people, is because it all just works together.
And I can attest to this with you, with our volunteers, with our board, with our executive director, with the amazing panelists. If you want something done, give it to the busiest woman you know.
Yep. Well, you know what is interesting? We were talking about this in one of the after panels when everyone left, the importance of humanizing what it is that we do, because so much of it is statistical. You can just look at numbers in the data, and before you know it, we've lost touch with what the numbers represent.
Yeah.
And by you doing what you do, you don't. They're still people to you. And that's an interesting way to explain it. I hadn't thought of it that way.
I'm super proud, actually, of this.
You look like you've been through Nam or something. I don't know what happened there.
These are hugs, and everybody who knows me knows I'm not a hugger.
Yeah, well, join the club.
But I needed to hug today, and everybody was worried and gave me like stain sticks, and I was like, you know what, it's fine.
It's a badge of honor.
Yeah, I'm happy that I got hugs because people needed it. I needed it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's what we
Listen,
do.
it is an incredibly evocative type of situation in there. You're surrounded by people that you feel comfortable with to be vulnerable. I mean, most conferences, you've got your game face on, you've got your stuff to do, and I'm locked and loaded, and I'm not going to be me until I grab a glass of wine with people I'm comfortable with. But here, from the first minute, you're feeling that way. So give me one word to describe how you feel about all of this. Take your time.
I'm excited.
All right, I like it.
I'm energized. And I think what you felt and what's so hard to replicate is authenticity. And that's the part, like, you don't, people strive for that, but you can't really strive for that. You're either authentic or you're not. And when you have panelists that are willing to get raw and get candid, it creates that space in the room. It happened last year, starting with the patient keynote. It started this year with the patient keynote. There was not a dry eye in the house. And I think when you set the tone in that way and you just sort of rip off the Band-Aid and you're like, we're all going to be raw together, it just changes the conversation and even the networking after, right? People, like, you would ask somebody, like, how are you? Or what's going on? Or like, do you want to get real? And the answer is yes, and then they do, right? And there's so many conferences, to your point, where it's like, it's a little robotic, it's a little forced at the end. You're like, I just need to be in my nothing box and like shut it down. I leave here feeling so energized and so invigorated and ready to take on the world. And I think that is, that's the sign of a successful conference. I am curious, I don't want to like turn it around on you, but you've been now a part of this organization for a very long time.
Sure.
You have been an active contributor in the process. What was your take? Either, best takeaway and maybe continuous improvement for us.
So when Lisa asked something actionable, for me is, even though we do a lot of metrics at my office, I'm in a people business too. Just like your patients, but I'm placing human beings in their careers and their lives and helping companies build that's someone's company. It's not a company, it's a person's company. It's an investor's company. And so I'm no longer going to look at our statistics as numbers, they're people. And that's the first thing that I take away, that if I had to come with one word, I would just say, I'm impressed. And I don't impress easy. I do this every day and talk to the smartest people on the planet around the world, and rarely do I hang up the phone and go, wow, that was awesome. Usually I'm like, all right, that was cool. When I left here, the last few times that I've been here, it's the same feeling of I cannot get over the collaboration and the selflessness. I mean, I'm going to give you both a compliment right now. You ran this last year, and it was impeccable. And yet, without any ego, you step back and let Lisa and Steph run it. And you're letting Sheila and Debbie and Laurel participate. And a lot of people do this. They want to own it. But I guess maybe Deb and Amy set an example where they're stepping back, and now you all seem to be stepping back a bit and letting other people shine. And that takes an immense amount of grace.
That's how we're going to make this bigger, right? Is like by stepping back and bringing more people in and connecting the dots.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. I think Amy and Deb both said it, like, as soon as they stepped back, it got better. I would say.
It's just a coincidence, Jess.
No, but like what Lisa and
awesome.
Stephanie have
Amazing.
done, what the planning committee has done, I mean, it just amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's been
Gives
great.
me goosebumps.
I know.
Look at you with all goose pimply. All right, well, look, go enjoy the rest of it, please.
Thanks.
Hug some more.
Thanks.
I know tomorrow you
Come
won't.
here.
Amanda.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, Jess, anytime.